You know, if you're like me, you probably had, as a kid, tons and tons, just binders and boxes full of Marvel comic cards. I've been going through my binders recently, and I've realized that I've got some holes in this 1991 set. So there's one right there. There's two. There's a handful of them, more than I would like, and there's an odd theme when it comes to what is missing. So I figured I'd try to complete it. Now, I'm missing one still, but I think I've got a good stand-in. So we're going to throw in a Night Thrasher, a Firestar, a Darkhawk, and Rage. And again, these are all very themed to the New Warriors. We've got the New Warriors card, that original lineup. I'm missing one. I'm missing one card in there. So unfortunately, while I don't have that card to put in the binder today, I guess this guy will have to do. We are going to take a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Speedball figure. My most wanted Marvel Legends by a long shot. And he is here. So let's do it. Let's take a look. And here we go. Our brand new Marvel Legends Speedball figure. Again, absolutely no joke. This is and has been for some time my most wanted Marvel Legends figure, like, period. I've made that very, very public, and I am super happy to get first crack at this guy, because I don't know that he is necessarily one that's overdue for the line, but he's definitely one that's overdue for me and my shelf. He's not an A-lister. He's maybe not one that most casual fans even know, but he's a really cool, weird character. He's got a pretty long-standing history. He's been in some high-profile teams, and I'm really happy that he's getting his due here. So Robbie Baldwin is finally going to be appearing on the shelf, and I'm really excited to take a look at this guy. He is on the Sunfire body. I was kind of curious about how he was going to move. You know, he's a slender guy. He's normally pretty agile, so I thought they were going to give him the Pizza Spidey body, but I'm really happy that it's the Sunfire mold, just because it's kind of my preference when it comes to this style of character. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. Based on what I just said, you probably know how he's going to move, but let's run through it. So we've got a head that can look all the way up and all the way down. He doesn't have too much tilt, but there's a little bit of bobble there. And then you've got full rotation. Arms go all the way out and up at the shoulder. You can rotate them, of course. We've got our butterfly joint, so all the way back, all the way forward. You've got your bicep swivel in there. We've, of course, got double jointed elbows. You've got your wrist hinge and rotation in there. And then we've got our ab crunch that goes backwards about yay far. And forward a good bit as well. We've, of course, got our waist twist in there. And then for legs, he can pretty much do the splits. And then you can kick them all the way forward. Not much on the back kick for this body. You do have your thigh cut. We've got some double jointed knees, of course. And then you've also got your shin swivel right at the top of that boot, so boot cut if you prefer. And then you've got a really nice rocker and hinges down at those ankles. So he moves really well, like no issues on this guy. Everything is very fluid. If you're familiar with this body, you know exactly what to expect, but I think it is the perfect choice for this character. Now, all that said, of course, my focus is going to be on the aesthetics for this guy because, well, it's a figure that I've wanted for a long time, so he better look the part. And thankfully, they went with kind of like the most mainstream version of his suit. His classic costume went through a few changes, so they're all sort of similar, but mostly the goggles and the eyes and some of the circles, the bubbles around his head were a little bit different. But he's generally considered to be, classic-ish when it comes to the blue costume, with all of these sort of different shades of yellowy, orange, brownish bubbles and in circles and stuff like that. So this is, very specifically speaking, the version that I wanted. So you can throw this guy into a New Warriors lineup, and you could have him start to fill out your roster. So, we've already got a handful of them. We don't have a full team. Maybe that's what we're going towards here. But you can throw him with Nova, you can throw him with Rage, you can throw him with Night Thrasher, you can throw him with Darkhawk, stuff like that, with Firestar. things of that nature to sort of kit out a New Warriors setup of various eras, because of course, you know, not all of those appear in the same roster. But I'm really happy to get this guy in this costume so he can be alongside our founding members of the New Warriors. So again, he is on the Sunfire body, so pretty slender but not super rail thin. He's got some muscle to him, specifically in the thigh region, which works pretty well for his design. He's usually shown with some pretty beefy legs in many respects. He's not pencil thin, but he's also not super massive either. For the most part, the figure is exactly what you see, though. He is just covered in a lot of blue. Most of this is molded plastic. Some of it is paint, depending on which body part. Like the forearms have some blue paint, and for the most part, I do think that it is very nicely matched. Like you're going to be hard to sort of find fault in some of that color matching. So the molded plastic does hit the paint colors very, very nicely. But really what it's all about is all of this, what I'm assuming has to be tampoed bubble, circle, kinetic energy effects that he's got all over him. So they're of course at the gloves. He's got them for the belt, and then he's got them for the boots. And these look great. I see zero cause for concern. They are super clean, super crisp. The black outlines for the belt, for the gloves, and for the boots are pretty solid, very straight. No slop or mess to speak of here. And then really it's that orange against the blue. So again, a complementary color kind of thing for his costume to make everything pop against itself. And then you've got all of these intricate little circle designs, which, I mean, they would make or break his costume. If those didn't look good, he would probably look like a mess. And I can thankfully report that he just looks perfect. He really does look like he jumped right out of a panel. And these are really nicely done. Tons and tons of good line work, solid colors, very clean, very crisp line work on the boots, on the hands, and then of course on that belt. Beyond that, he is just a blue field until you get up to the head sculpt. And I mean, this is really like the crowning achievement, I suppose, for this figure, in that he has a very, very on-point head sculpt that has a touch of goofiness to it, and it still has tons of that circle motif up there. So you've got that goes all the way up his neck, through the head, and it covers all the way around there. But then we've got a really, really nicely done head sculpt. It's not a super stoic expression. There is a little touch of a smile there, because at least in this iteration of Speedball, you know, we're not talking post-Civil War or any of that kind of stuff just yet. He is still kind of a very goofy, happy kind of character. So he does have a little bit of character to him in that smile. The goggles on him, though, are pretty unique for a Marvel Legends figure. So you've got those eyes painted underneath, and then you've got these lenses which do kind of magnify him as well. So he looks exceptionally dorky, which in this figure's context does work really, really nicely. I'm very happy with everything going on from the neck up on this figure. The sculpt, the paint, the eyes, clean and crisp. The lips have just a touch of kind of a red pink to them to bring them out. And then, of course, he still has all of that bubble circle motif that runs up to what is ultimately a really wild hair sculpt, too. So his hair takes on like its own kind of thing when he gets into Speedball mode. So they did give him a little bit of a swooshing effect. So it's very much in motion. It looks like it's being swept back by the wind. Of course, you know, Speedball, he is a bit of a speedster when it comes to his power set. So he does look really fantastic. The hair sculpt is really nicely done. A nice bit of paint up there to wash it out and bring out that sculpt to complement a really nice looking figure. And then, of course, let's do some size comparisons, stuff that is and isn't necessarily related in some respects. So we're going to stick with Marvel Legends for this. We've got Night Thrasher, so a New Warriors counterpart. We've got Darkhawk, another at times New Warriors counterpart. So you can see that they all kind of line up. They're all relatively normal. You know, if you know Sunfire body, you know what to expect here. Let's move Darkhawk aside, and a bigger New Warrior. So here they are with Rage. Of course, he's a much bulkier figure. He's not super tall, but he's a lot beefier. And then let's pull Night Thrasher aside, and here they are with Wolverine for a smaller Marvel Legends comparison. And then for a Build-A-Figure that is definitely related to the New Warriors, because he's pretty much responsible for them forming in many ways, here they are with the old Terrax Build-A-Figure from years back. So you can see that he, especially if you want to set that particular scene, is going to size up really nicely to Speedball and frankly to the rest of the New Warriors because they're all more on the normal side of the scaling. So he looks really good. He's on a very nice and tight, slender body, but he's going to scale really nicely with his team and with pretty much anything else you throw at him in this same scale. Now, he's not 100% perfect, unfortunately. He doesn't come with any accessories, so what you see is what you get here. I will say that I'm not really sure what I expected as far as accessories goes. I kind of thought we'd probably get those like generic bubble effects that we see a lot, but they don't necessarily represent his power, and I'm not really sure what Hasbro could have done to represent his power without giving us stuff that is maybe impractical or too large. So while I would have loved to have gotten something with him, don't get me wrong, I am still very happy with what we are presented with here because this is an otherwise very flawless interpretation of Speedball. So yeah, overall, super happy with this guy. Like, I really can't stress how good he is. Like, I mean, obviously, first look, figure that I've wanted for a very long time. There's a lot of subjectivity going into this review, but this is a really solid figure. It's everything you would expect a Speedball to be, except for maybe the fact he doesn't come with any accessories. He looks amazing. He moves incredibly well. The paint is on point. That Tampo design is on point. The head sculpt is incredibly well done. Those goggles are pretty crazy, especially for a Marvel Legends figure. Even the hair is noteworthy. It's all really nicely done, and a lot of attention went into this figure to make this very specific version of Speedball that works on his own, but also works as a key part of what hopefully is the rest of the New Warriors. So that's it, guys. That's going to do it for this first look of the Marvel Legends Speedball figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.